And I think we all have to start taking a responsibility as a parent to do the things right for the society and build the right kids. Bullying starting why? Because the child has a low self-esteem. He wants to show something which he's not getting at home. So I think a lot of the problems in the society are originating from the home. And I think parents should start taking a serious responsibility in the world to do the right thing as a parent. And I think that will start, the child goes to school, the teacher can only do so much. Because if he already has this attitude from the home, the teacher can only fill in so much in the gap.
And to fill in on that, because Phyllis Sugar, who was supposed to be here tonight, isn't. But she brought up something that I think is very insightful, and as you were just alluding to, Usha. She thought that perhaps we could get a parent who's the first-time parent to have schooling on what it means to be a parent and how to bring up a child who is confident, happy, peaceful, appreciated, and all those words that are being taught and children being compared to somebody who's more intelligent, more this, more that. We've got to appreciate that child for who that child is. How can we tonight come up with some ideas?
Well,
to start that kind of a ball. I know you've already spoken in the schools.
Well, the number one thing is, as a parent, you should watch your language, what you're talking in front of your children. You know, I mean, there are going to be a difference of opinion in the house, but you know what? When the children are present, you should be very careful with words you use, how you dress, how your body language is. Everything matters. When that child is watching you, you should reflect as a parent, not as someone.
But you're assuming that somebody knows how to act. And again, if from previous life that they may have had, who knows what, not everybody's had a beautiful life and knows about the niceties or how to talk pleasantly because of who knows where they came from, and so it's passed on. Look at, even with terrorism, how hate is passed on quite often from generation to generation.
That's why it comes down to, I think, fundamental principle that Gary mentioned before about the idea of everyone made in God's image, and you can just start with the first chapter of Genesis, which is a basic text for at least Western civilization, that says that human beings are made in God's image. And our ancient rabbis told a great story about why the Bible begins with one Adam. And the answer is, even if you don't take it literally, that God began with one Adam so that nobody could say, my dad is greater than your dad. That we all came from the same dad. And so if parents start with, based on a fundamental principle, then they can check all of their attitudes against that principle. And the principle here would be, we're all loved by God because we're all made in God's image, and we all come from the same Father, so nobody's better than anybody else.
But how can we get people together who need the help to get the help?
Yes, I think that we really have two different types of problems. Because, as Yusha said, parents are where this all begins, where it originates. But then children may behave one way when they're around their parents. They can be totally different, totally, when they're in a school environment. So I believe we have to look at it two ways. We've got to look at what needs to happen with the parents. Because you've got parents now that are younger, much, much younger than what is up there before. And when Satish mentioned his experience in college, by that time, you had the words to be able to stand up for yourself. But what if it's a fifth grader or a sixth grader who's being bullied? They don't know how to put it into words. They're afraid usually to go to someone. So I think we need to look at, if we're looking for solutions, let's look at something that would be geared toward the children or the youth, and then also approaches for the parents.
I have comment here.
I want to ask
Actually, as far as the youth is concerned, I think my way of dealing with any issues like this, I've given myself into like, I've I guess, given myself into like volunteering and charity, because I've learned that when helping someone else, I'm indirectly helping myself. I'm learning something about someone, and it's changing me as a person. I volunteered so much by now that all the stuff that I've learned about other people and all the pain they've gone through, it makes my life seem insignificant. And then I think about all those problems, and I try to change myself and adjust myself in a different way, I guess, to put it, that just makes me happy to be happy. I've gained so much confidence from helping someone else, and I think activities in school are really important, and we don't stress that enough to get children involved in high school and junior high, because it changes them, and it doesn't always have to be, even if they've had a bad childhood. I know a lot of people have, through charity work, have come out of it and changed as people. So even though the problem may be at home, it's easily fixed, able to be fixed.
There's lots of studies that show that that actually happens, that people are transformed through good deeds, and it enhances every aspect of their life, physical, emotional, mental.
But I think there's another point about role models, because when you grow up, whether you're a child or an adult, you have to decide at some point, who are you going to imitate and whose behavior are you going to reject? You're going to have to develop that certain sense of yourself in order to figure out what you think is good, what you think is bad, what you think is good for you, and what you think is right for you. What is the right behavior? What is the right speech? What is the right type of action? And one of the problems with making this decision is having those role models available. One of the papers that I co-authored in the mid-1990s had to do with families with crack cocaine, families who actually had behaviors that were obviously dysfunctional and antisocial, and they would sadly hang around all day, drinking, taking drugs, and these were the behaviors that the children noticed within the household, and that as they became older, started to mimic themselves. So there has to be some kind of program. Yes, we understand it starts with the mother, it starts with the parents, it starts at home. But if the home situation is not a good one, in fact, it's a terrible one, there has to be something on the outside, as was said before, social groups, social organizations, having someone step forward and say, let's go and change things around. You need a mentor, but you need to have these individuals in the larger community that these kids can somehow look up to, and they could start to imitate or respect, so that maybe we can push them in the right direction if their parents or their families are not providing the correct role models. We need role models out there for these people, for these young children, and then later adults need to be able to imitate and want to be like.
Yes, that's where the grandparents or other family member comes into play. They need to step out and help, because they are next to the kids when they're growing up. Other thing, Marianne, you brought that what we should do, what kind of program in school, can come up with to help these children or these kids who is going to the high school or middle school. PTA should take a larger role, and maybe they should step in and come up with some kind of program and discuss with the teachers, and have some kind of maybe volunteering program or some other session, invite the speakers in the school, or look towards the library or other community organizations to help them out.
Yes, but then so without, we have to get rid of the inner bully. We're talking about bullying, but bullying starts a lot because people are bullying themselves with self-hate and relentless recrimination and so forth. If we get rid of the inner bully, then go a long way toward getting rid of the outer bully. I'd also like to ask the rabbi a question to everybody else.
Excuse me, I did want to give a chance to the host, the co-host, you wanted to say something? Thank you.
Thank you. Julie, you hit on something that I have learned to believe. There is no program in the community, no program in the country, no program in the world that is going to change this. The person has to come to the time when he or she takes responsibility for their behavior, and nobody can make them do that with themselves. So we hope that they mature, we hope that they wake up. I honestly don't feel there's any program that can change how somebody thinks, how somebody feels. We can't get in the bully's mind,